Hello, I am Jamie Buckland with the West Virginia FEW Families United for Education, and I am excited today to be talking with my friend Daniel Fukashan from Idaho. I met the guys at Roman Roads a couple years ago, so I'm excited to have you on today, Daniel, to share with our audience what you guys have been up to and how you can serve them. So why don't we just get started with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how Roman Roads came to be?
Thanks. So Roman Roads is we passed our 10th anniversary last year, so we're now over a decade old, and we started with a real emphasis on video courses and then grew into more curriculum. But we focus on classical curriculum for the high school years. So we have a few programs that start younger, like our Latin, but that the high school years are where parents often struggle in the homeschool the most. That's when they're tempted to say, "This is more than I can do." And so this is in the classical subjects in particular. We publish those from ninth to 12th grade literature, history, even calculus from a classical perspective. So high school and classical would be our distinctives.
That's awesome. That's great. All right. So let's just dive right in because I do have a personal tie to the curriculum because we found out about you guys. I guess it was probably 2015, 2016 when I was launching Appalachian Classical Academy here in Southern West Virginia. That's when we became familiar with Roman Roads. But tell us a little bit more about who you really serve with your curriculum. Is it just homeschool families, or can they use it in a school, or who is your target audience?
Yeah, so our emphasis has been homeschool families because many of the particularly classical publishers, when we began, homeschooling was a bit of an afterthought, especially the video courses. Like, we've got a textbook, we'll add a video course. We kind of swapped that. And so we do serve schools, but generally the schools that use us, especially our video courses, are hybrid schools or even 2 to 3 day model, or homeschool co-ops, of course, because our emphasis on having a video course, it's not just an add-on for the homeschoolers, but is part of the focus of the course, means that of course it's made for homeschoolers, for co-ops, but a hybrid school that is has more time at home. It means that their live time, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 days, is far more useful for what we call classical recitations, that flipped classroom. You have more time to go through the subjects and the homework, and at home they have the lectures that they can watch at their leisure with their families. Even we love when families use these in an integrated fashion. So younger siblings, parents, that has been, especially our literature, Old Western culture, has been we really encourage families to use it together, and we've seen incredible results from that. Amazing testimonials of families learning together through it.
Yeah. When we started ACA in 2016, I want to say that we started, I will butcher the name. I should have looked this up before, but we were using Old Western culture. And so, and my oldest would have been 10th grade.
Mhm.
And so we would watch Wesley Callahan. We
Mhm.
would watch the lecture, and then we would have our conversation in classes and go through the readings. But I mean, we still, my son who abandoned me and moved out of my home, as one does when they, get older and graduate. But we're still talking about memories that we have in going through that course, and just works that we were introduced to that we maybe wouldn't have been introduced to if we were following a more conventional curriculum. So can you talk a little bit about how you're serving families with maybe what goes into like the works that are chosen,
Right.
the content that is chosen in your courses?
Right. Well, there's the content, and that's the classical approach, and I could talk about that. But actually, there is. It's not just content. There, it's. I like to say that all of our curriculum, none of it is written by a committee or a board of education. It's the way we publish at Roman Roads is that we find a.
I lost you for a second. Let's see if you come back. We may be experiencing technical difficulties. Pausing for a brief moment. Let's see if we can get Daniel back on. Trying to get us back on here.
There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me see if I can get one more. There we go.
There we go. I am so sorry. I don't know if that was
No,
on
that's
my
okay.
end or
It was either West Virginia or Idaho to blame. We don't know who we'll blame just yet.
Idaho.
But no, we're good. And so you were saying with the design of the curriculum, it's you guys, not a committee, not a board of education.
Yeah, what we do is we approach educators who are known for loving their subject and communicating well. So Wes Callahan's a great example. He had my wife actually did online courses with him in high school, so it's like there's a whole second generation already. So he was well known. I knew from the very beginning of starting Roman Roads that he was one person I wanted to create curriculum with, and that was our Great Books 4-year curriculum. So it's not a committee that designs our curriculum, it's people, and that changes how the curriculum feels. It's not just the list of books, it's not just the pedagogy, but it has the personality of a great teacher. And I think that that's a really important, whether you're in school or homeschool, both recognize the importance of a teacher. And that one of the weaknesses that homeschoolers can face is that parents have limited ability. They're the ideal teacher, but especially if they have a bunch of kids, a bunch of levels. I'm a second generation homeschool, and we're now homeschooling our kids. But 5 kids, 5 levels that my mother taught growing up when I was growing up. And so video courses can be really great, but you want a great teacher to help them and to become a partner with the parent. So not a replacement. Some of the online programs for homeschoolers are a little bit of a plug and chug, and basically where I want the grade spit out at the end. That's all I want. And we're like, no, we're going to help parents, but not by saying, well, now you have to do everything. You can learn alongside your children. So all our curriculum, the video courses are not, and there's nothing wrong with this approach, but many are like, mom, here, these video courses are to train mom. This is more like mom comes alongside, or dad comes alongside and learns with them. So they're the more mature student, you might say. They're the mentor, but they don't have to. So it's a bit of that hybrid approach. But on the classical side, we are wanting to. So that's how we choose our teachers. But the reason we choose classical education is that we are trying to choose a return to what education used to mean for centuries, which I think is all the more important, shown to be important in the last few years with the advent of artificial intelligence and all that. There's a lot of the people are asking or re-questioning what is education, and we're saying, well, we've been saying the same thing for a long time, and it's wisdom and virtue, what it means to be human, and none of those are threatened by artificial intelligence. So a classical education is turning out to be the most useful education, and that's what we provide for high schoolers.
Yeah, and I love that that you acknowledge that there really is a need for homeschooling parents to be okay with having some support. I think that I've said this before in interviews, that I think we've kind of, in the early years of homeschooling, and I'm planning my 17th year of homeschooling, so I feel like I can say this now, but when I first started homeschooling, outsourcing instruction was kind of looked down on in some circles because, as homeschoolers kind of swept away from government schooling, 30, 40 years ago. And it became this, well, we can do it all ourselves. We really can. Then there was this culture that we must do it all ourselves. And the mother or father must be prepared to teach all of the subjects at the table and to not rely on anyone else for anything else. And so what I've loved about hybrid homeschooling for the last 15 years is that we're acknowledging actually we maybe would like some help. And that doesn't mean that we're selling out our homeschool if we're willing to partner with curriculum or other instructors. It can be just as beautiful to share with our kids in that journey, but yet to acknowledge that we maybe want some help. And that's what we found when we were using Old Western culture. And now my 11-year-old, I'm looking forward to her high school years and thinking how we'll be able to revisit courses that I've already taken my big kids through. So it's not an abandonment of traditional homeschooling to use this flipped classroom approach.
Correct. Yeah, and I think it was necessary in the early days to do that because of just how weird it was. And as my mom wrote in 1987. Oh, did I go out there?
You're there. I've got you.
1987 for an article in a Canadian education magazine about what is homeschooling. And she pulled it back out the other day, and it was like, we actually do the work. It was explaining it in such simplistic terms. I was like, really? But they didn't know what it was. It was such a foreign concept. And now you don't have to be hardcore pioneers. There's civils without compromising any of the essential aspect of education being the role of parents. That's the difference. Education, the parents are the ones who are the primary educators versus the states being wards of the state, and that's what's uncompromised by getting all this various help.
Yeah. So I'm excited for our audience to get to learn more. Where is the best place for our audience to go to learn more about Roman Roads and the curriculum and services you provide?
So our website, romanroadspress.com. And we're on just about every social media. We publish a lot of things on YouTube. If you want to get a good taste of what the video lectures look like, we have full lectures, various excerpts, a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can go and look us up, Roman Roads. It's actually Roman Roads Media on YouTube. But look us up there, and obviously Facebook and all the major social media.
We will also drop links to those in the comments. Daniel, thanks so much for coming on and sharing with us. I'm excited to revisit some Roman Roads Press material as I continue homeschooling my kids, and I'm sure our audience is going to benefit from learning more about you guys. I hope that you have a great Wednesday.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.